Hi colleagues, it's Christine. I'm here at in a classroom at Deming Way, and I wanted to just take a few moments to say congratulations, you've made it through week 2, and also good job with that. I wanted to really tell you thank you for your excellent participation over the last week in our discussion forums. And before we leave that topic, I wanted to recap a couple of points on that. So, over the weekend, you got a video announcement from Rebecca that gave you some tips for how to have creative discussions online and what makes those different from discussions that involve critical thinking. And I see that you all really heeded her tips, and I think that made a big difference. I think that created a really rich atmosphere of collegiality and let some ideas flourish. So, in order to put this into practice, I have two additional pieces of feedback that I want to give you to encourage you to incorporate into your practice and to, just give you some specific things to think about as you go forward. So there are two reasons I think that this discussion forum really flourished. Two ways that you did it that made it happen, and ways that we set it up that made it happen. So I want to point those out to you. So the first thing I think that created a really rich forum was what I would call the power of language. So Rebecca gave you some ideas on how to invite people into conversation, and you put that into practice. So, for example, I saw many of you writing things such as, I wonder what would happen if, or you might consider trying this, or I tried this in one of my courses, I wonder if it would work for you. That was really an invitation into idea sharing, into conversation, and creativity needs needs to feel safe, kind of, for us to be able to throw out a new idea, especially in an area outside of our subject matter expertise. So I think by using invitational phrases like that, that really helped everybody feel comfortable sharing ideas and going with the back and forth. In the online world, the fact of the matter is that words matter. Your language choices make a big difference. You do not have the power of your facial expressions or your voice tone or your gestures to also aid in communicating a message. So your words are pretty much it. So what you say can invite conversation, or it can close it down. So let's imagine what the conversation might have looked like had we used language with each other, like, for example, you should do this, or you need to try, or I tried that once but it never worked. What would that have done to the conversation? Would you have felt invited in? Would you have ventured out to give a new idea to a colleague if you felt that you really weren't welcomed with that? So I just invite you to keep considering that as you go forward and thinking about your words choice. As you get into the flow of it, you'll find it becomes more natural, and that kind of language of invitation will become second nature to you. But for right now, if we think about where we started in week 1 of creating welcoming environments, and then week 2 and thinking about fostering community, one of our Edgewood College values here, all of these things make a difference in how we invite people to participate and continue to participate and form communities online. So think about that power of language. The second thing I think made a big difference is time and space. Now that's, two things, but I'm lumping it into one category. So when Rebecca and I designed the activity, we thought about when to start and when to finish it. That creativity needs a little room to flourish, and it needs a little time to flourish. It's not the kind of thing that can happen in 5 minutes and once. It needs this back and forth. It needs an exchange. It needs one person to spark another. So as you design discussion forums in your online courses, please make sure you're allowing enough room in the schedule, enough time and space to give participants the chance to flourish. I think about being at conferences where we do some kind of creative activity of, think of 5 new uses for a paper clip, and then you get in a small group and you brainstorm, and you do pretty well. But then the instructor would say something like, okay, now give me 10 more, or give me 15 more. And that would really push the boundary of how crazy the ideas would be. But not all of them would be crazy. Some of them would be, hey, I never thought of it that way before. We actually could, use that idea for a paper clip. That's a new resource. So if that is an aim of some of your activities, think about giving time and space to it when you design a creative activity online. So I want to thank you again for your participation. And now let's think about week 3. Week 3 is a little bit different in that it's less emphasis on dialogue and more emphasis on content and application. So Rebecca is going to lead you through some great resources on accessibility and equity. And what we'd like you to do is really take the time to examine them and think about how you can apply them in your teaching as well as into your course design. So take a deep dive into those resources and post your ideas in the activities provided for you. So I wish you good luck with this next week, and thanks again.